We are now welcoming Miss Annette Pearson, founder, Listening to Your Voice, transformational coach for female leaders, national award winner, as well as a best well-being in the workplace strategy. Now welcoming Miss Annette Pearson.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you to Doctor for giving me this opportunity to come and speak. So we know since 2020 there has been a change in terms of the landscape, in terms of young people and parents, in terms of their mental health and well-being. Prior to 2020, the incidences of anxiety and depression and low self-esteem in young people was not as high as it was after 2020. And that's had an impact in terms of how they are progressing in terms of school and in terms of their outlook. Now, one of the things that we've realized then in terms of teachers as parents, how that's impacted us in terms of our role as parents, our role as teachers, and our role as educators. So one of the things of the topic that we're looking at today is about building emotional and economical intelligence, is that we need to ask ourselves as educators, where are we emotionally? Because we need to be able to share with others our own emotional intelligence. If we are not able to share with our young people how we cope with challenges in our lives, then we can't model that to them. So after 2020, I was going through a few challenges in terms of what was happening in terms of me with work. And one of the things I started to do was to write motivational quotes on my board so that I was able to speak to the young people and show the young people in a practical way how they were able to overcome and improve their mental health and well-being. And as I was sharing these quotes with them, they then started to write more quotes. So one of the things that I realized that they needed was for their confidence to improve. I also needed to realize that when my confidence improved, then their confidence improved as well. So when we want to improve and build our emotional intelligence, one of the things that we need to do is to improve our confidence. Now, after we improve our confidence, one of the next things I realized that we need is then it allowed opportunities to open up. It allowed us to have choices in terms of what we would do, in terms of our mental health and in terms of our well-being and in terms of the next steps that we would take. So when we're looking in terms of building emotional intelligence, it's about what choices do you want to take? Do you want to follow the norm that everybody's doing, or do you want to do something different? Now, one of the things that I was able to do with the young people in my class is I was able to build them up. Now, one of the things in school is I end up having to teach a lot of the low ability students, or the students in school which were finding it difficult to access the curriculum. And I realized in order for them to be able to access the curriculum, they needed to feel that they mattered. A lot of these young people felt that their skills and what they were doing in schools wasn't making a big difference. So I shared with them an analogy. I'm sure most of you have heard this analogy before, that you have a fish, you have a bird, and you have a monkey. Now, when you've got a fish, a bird, and a monkey, if I was to ask the fish to climb the tree, would the fish be able to climb the tree? No, because that's not what the fish was created to do. But if I ask the fish to swim in the sea, the fish will be able to swim in that sea, and the fish will be able to carry out what it was able to do. And I explain this to my learners, that no matter what some of you do, now I teach science, and I say to the students, some of you will never be good scientists. It doesn't matter. I can teach you in terms of the skills, but science isn't your forte. You're good at artwork. You're good at drama. And therefore, those are the areas that you thrive at. So yes, you have to do core subjects, but you also need to develop those subjects where you have the skills. So this is where we encourage the young people to have extracurricular activities where they're able to develop in these new areas or these areas where they're able to thrive. Yes, they still have to be able to do the core subjects in school, like the English, the maths, the science, but they're also able to thrive in terms of the sports, in terms of art, to be able to thrive in other areas of their expertise. So the first thing we teach them is to improve their confidence. The second thing we teach them is about improving their choices. And then the third thing we teach them is about improving their economical contribution. See, if they're able to make the right choices, where some of these young people in the past would think that they're not going to be able to go out and get a job, or they're not going to be able to use their skills that they have in a productive way, we're able to show them examples of other people who've used the skills that they have so that they're able to have an economical viability in terms of where they are in the future. So we say to the young people, yes, not everybody's going to be academic, but we still need to have people in these vocational courses. We still need plumbers. We still need electricians. We still need people doing art and technology. We still need individuals doing all of these different tasks. And therefore, we encourage them to go down the lines in terms of what they want to do. Now, in the whole of this process, one of the things that started me, so I've taught for 38 years, and for a lot of that time, the only thing I knew was about being in the classroom. But about 10 years ago, I had a break out of education. And in that time, I learned about the business world. I learned about personal development. I learned about some of these missing pieces that were needed in education. And as I learned about these pieces which were missing in education, then I was able to come and share these with the young people in school. So one of the things that they know me for in school is about improving their mental health and well-being, about building them up, teaching them these skills that you're not going to get an assessment in these, but these are the skills that's going to make a difference to you in the future. I say to the young people, you need to get involved in going out and doing outdoor hiking. You need to get involved in playing sports. You need to go and get involved in doing activities which are team building. Because as you get involved with these activities which are team building, you learn to build resilience. So many young people don't have the resilience because they've not been involved in team activities. We also need to teach our young people the importance of failure, that not everything is going to go according to their plan, that they can't always expect that when someone says, can I have, or they say, can I have, the answer is always going to be yes. No, they need to learn in life that sometimes things are not going to go the way they need to be. And we need to develop them so that they can build resilience. So when they get into the workplace and someone does an appraisal with them and say, these are the areas that they need to do to improve, they're not going to crumble because they've never in their life been told no. The other thing that we need to make sure that we say to our young people is that inside of them, they know that there is something that they were destined to do. So one of the quotes that I have in one of my books, and also one of the quotes that's in my school, is one from one of my books called Say Yes to New Opportunities, Be Motivated to Learn. And the quote says, listen to your inner voice and don't let anyone stop you from being the person you know within you need to be. So as you're listening to this today, I want you too to know that you can listen to your inner voice. As you listen to that inner voice will lead you, and that inner voice will guide you. Sometimes that inner voice will say to you, this is an area of your strength. But the other people around you will say, why are you going down that particular line? And it's so easy to follow what everybody else is doing. But one of the things you need to remember, that as you build up confidence and as you start to be able to improve the choices that you take in life, then you're going to be able to make the decisions that's going to impact you economically. Those decisions that's going to impact you economically, they might be a different pathway than what other people might think you should be on. But if you know within yourself that that's the way that you should be going, be brave enough to go and surround yourself with other people around you who will be able to guide you and direct you in terms of where you want to go. So as I shared that quote, I'm going to end with it now. Listen to your inner voice and don't let anyone stop you from being the person you need to be within. Thank you so much for this opportunity today.